Did you know that the average first-time home buyer right now is 40 years old? 40. That's crazy. 40 years old is your average first-time home buyer. So the people in their young 20s, they want to get the American dream. It's very challenging. So you really want to think about that, saving your money and putting it away. People are getting into houses because they're getting some help from their parents, gift money and stuff like that. So these are all things that could possibly negatively affect us with these with having such lower interest rates, because once they drop it down, and they drop down significantly, that's only going to be bringing more buyers and more competition into the market. So let's go over some cons for you in this whole 50-year mortgage deal that Trump has put out there. The first one is you're going to be paying a lot more interest over the course of the loan. So in a regular 30-year mortgage, at the very beginning of the loan, your monthly payment is going significantly more towards interest and less towards principal. And over the course of a 30-year loan, I mean, you're buying a $500,000 house. If you stuck to the minimum monthly payment every month for the 30 years, you're going to be paying over $1 million, for that $500,000 house because of the interest. Now, take that 30 years and expand it to 50 years. So what's going to happen is you're going to be paying a lot more interest and a lot more money over the course of a loan. I haven't even figured that one out. But yeah, I mean, just imagine how much that would cost. Maybe we can put that graphic up there too. We're making Drew work hard on the post-production of this. Let's see what that looks like. A 30-year mortgage and a 50-year mortgage. What's that interest going to be paid over the course of a loan on a 30-year and a 50-year? And let's see how big of a difference that is. I'm excited to see what that looks like. So if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, you got to go to YouTube to look at that breakdown, right? Because I don't know what it is right now. So yeah, you're going to be paying a lot more interest over a 50-year loan, again, unless you refinance. But then that's the other thing too, is it's a slower build on equity. So, people that bought right before 2020, and then refinanced, and then they sold. I had some clients that made $50,000 to $100,000 in 1 year based on that rapid growth. Well, when you have a 50-year mortgage and you're paying a lot more towards interest in the beginning of the loan, you're not going to be able to build as much equity in your house. So that, real estate being one of the biggest investments, if you're paying more towards interest over the course of that loan, then naturally you're not going to be putting as much towards the principal. When you're not putting as much towards the principal, you're not going to get as much equity when you go to sell. And a lot of times people will buy their first home, small home, and then build that equity. And then when they go to sell it, and they sell it for a higher price, they also have a lower payoff on their balance. And so that number is definitely going to get smaller when it comes to that resale and the profit that you can make to then put onto the next house when you're trying to expand. You start having a family, you need a bigger house and all that, and it's going to be more challenging than, say, a 30-year mortgage. So the slow equity build is going to be another issue. I foresee another issue is that you could be remaining in debt for a heck of a lot longer, especially over a term of 50 years. Again, you want to try to pay towards your principal as much as possible in whether it's a 30-year or 15-year, paying down on that principal. One of the recommendations that I've often heard, and we tell our buyers all the time, is if you can create one more mortgage payment a year on your overall mortgage on your principal, if you can pay that down, you take a 30-year mortgage and you turn it into 23. So 7 years of interest knocked off. You're saving a lot of money in the long run because you're paying down on that principal. So, take your monthly mortgage payment, right, and divide that by 12, and then take that amount of money and add it to your regular monthly mortgage payment, and you can do it that way, or you can just turn your monthly payment into biweekly payments, and that's another way that you can do it, where because there are some extra weeks in a month over the course of the year, if you pay biweekly, you're going to be able to pay that down. You got to make sure that your mortgage company allows for you to pay biweekly. But if they don't, again, take one mortgage payment divided by 12, and then add that number onto your mortgage payment every month, and you're going to save about 7 years on your mortgage. But if you have a 50-year mortgage, man, I don't even know what that math looks like, and I'm not even going to force Drew to put that up on the screen, you know? So something to think about with 50-year mortgage.
So did you like this episode of the TMA Connection? Well, you might want to check this one out right here. Go ahead, click it.